So today we are in Pensburg, talking about the Pensburg roundhouse that was on the Perkiomen. Yes, believe it or not, there was a roundhouse on the Perkiomen, and it was in Pensburg, not far from the Pensburg station. Pensburg station was down that way. Prep school is over there, and the roundhouse was right about where those houses are. See a picture. Let's see if I can get the light in it. You can see the roundhouse with the car sitting in front of it. Cars, that's kind of funny. Sitting in front of it. That was located right up there. Part of the switch that went into the siding, well, actually the switch is gone, but part of the siding is still here. This siding here used to come off right here, and you could see that the siding went to the roundhouse. You can kind of see right in here, kind of right next to the left of those people down this way. That's pretty much where the switch was for the siding, and it went into this complex, which was the roundhouse and the turntable in Pensburg, between 4th and 2nd Street. 2nd or 3rd, I always forget. I think it's 2nd Street. Later on, after the turntable and roundhouse were removed, it was basically a part of the runaround siding that used to go around the side of Pensburg station. But before the turntable was put here, it was actually put in Green Lane in 1872, because by 1872 the railroad had made it to Green Lane, and since that was half-mile mark of the railroad, about 19 miles, they put a turntable and a single stall engine house in Green Lane in 1872, so they could turn the engine around for heading back down the line, because at that point the line was only complete to Green Lane. I guess they figured at that point the 19 miles would be too far to shove the train backwards, or shove the train back to the junction in Oaks. So in 1872 there was a turntable and a roundhouse in Green Lane. No pictures of it. We have some evidence. I mean, we have some written evidence about it, but we don't have any pictures, any photographs of it. And at this point, I really don't think we'll ever find any, to tell you the truth. But by 1897, they moved the turntable and they put it up here in Pensburg, right in there. And they put it in Pensburg, and from the picture, you can kind of see the picture. It's either a 4 or 5 stall engine house that they put in there in 1897. By 1909, though, it was kind of in disrepair, the turntable. So basically what they did was they took the turntable and they fixed it, basically made it one position, and turned it into basically a siding. If you look here, you can see the pit. That's where the pit was, and you can see the turntable. You can also see at this point in front of the roundhouse, they were building up other buildings. So you can't see, they couldn't get an engine in there anymore, but you can see the engine house right here. So like I said, this was probably later on, probably near the end of its time, probably 08, 09, somewhere in that time frame, where the turntable was fixed, meaning it wasn't movable anymore. So then in 1909, the turntable was removed and it was taken to Bridgeport. So the turntable that once started in Green Lane in 1872 ended up in Bridgeport after 1909. But you can see the row of houses here. That would be on 4th Street, right in that area. And another thing to note here is this car right here, this maintenance away or baggage car type car. We have other photographs of this. You can see where it looks like there's lettering painted over. This was the only piece of rolling stock that we've ever found that had actually had Perkiomen Railroad Company on it. We think it was because from 1897 to 1897 to, well, I always forget this one too. For about a 10 or 12 year span in the late 1800s, the Philadelphia and Reading, who had controlling interest of the Perkiomen, pulled out of the railroad, and the Perkiomen Railroad was on its own at that point. So we think this could have been one of their cars that they actually had Perkiomen Railroad Company on it. It's pretty interesting. Still want to find out more information about this car. So then, sometime a little later on, Stokes Manufacturing. Many of you from the area may never have heard of Stokes Manufacturing, but may not have ever known where Stokes Manufacturing was. So, can't get a good light on this. This picture's not that good, but you can see the old engine house. See the old engine house here, and over here was Stokes Manufacturing, which that burnt down sometime. I'm not sure when it burnt down, but Stokes burnt down sometime in the 70s or 80s, maybe earlier. I'm not sure. But sometime around that time, they tore down the old engine house. Well, that was torn down way before the 80s. That was long gone. Stokes Manufacturing was there and was gone. The other thing of interest up here in this area, besides all the traffic, is over here. Over here, you can see a siding down there. You can see a couple cars sitting down there. I'll zoom in a little bit. Down there is a siding. Well, back in the day, probably I would say up until the 20s or 30s or so, that was actually a whistle stop siding, which was also, they called it the seminary stop, which basically there was no station or nothing there, but they had big events at the prep school, Perkiomen school, like homecoming or certain football games. That siding right there was used as a stop for the railroad, for the Perkiomen. So again, if you look over here, the turntable was put in here in 1897. You can still see there's rail, and then it used to go down into there. But like I said, later on, this was part of the runaround siding for Pensburg Station. And just down the tracks is East Greenville Station. At one point in time, the railroad was 38.5 miles and had 28 stations. So that really says a lot. Really says a lot about back in the day when you have railroad stations about a mile apart. So figured to put a little thing on here about this. I've always been quite interested and quite intrigued by the fact that we had a turntable and a roundhouse on the Perkiomen and in Pensburg. So all right, I'm gonna probably do a little bit better, more involved video on this sometime, but I figured I'd do this one up for now. So all right, thanks for checking it out.